Here we have a problem on derivative. Okay, there is a function given over here, and we have to find dy over dx. That is, we have to differentiate y with respect to x. Actually, it is an implicit function. So because, for example, let's consider a function that is y equals to x square positive 5x positive 6, something like this. Okay, actually, in this function, it is solved for y in terms of x. In a function, if it is solved for y in terms of x, then it's called explicit function. But in our function, it has not been solved for y in terms of x. So this is called implicit function. So the derivative we are going to do over here, it's called implicit derivative. Okay, now, let's find the derivative on both sides of the given function with respect to x, because we have to find derivative of y with respect to x. Okay, let me write the given function as it is. It is 4 times x to the third power y square positive 3x equals to 1. Okay, so now I'm going to find derivative, that is differentiate both sides with respect to x. Let me finish writing. Okay, so here x cube and y square, both of them are variables. Here the variables are multiplied by the constant. So whenever I want to find derivative of a stuff where a constant is multiplied by the variable, I have to keep the constant as it is and find the derivative of the variable alone. But when I'm trying to find the derivative of this variable, here the product of two variables. So when I find derivative, if there is a product of two variables, I have to use product rule to get the derivative. Okay, now let's consider the product of u and v, where we have to assume both u and v are variables. Okay, to get the derivative of this product u and v, what I need to do is first I have to keep the first variable u as it is, get the derivative of the second variable, that is v prime. Then I have to take positive sign. Now I have to take this derivative of the first variable u, then keep the second variable as it is. This is called product rule. So I'm just going to apply the product rule over here for the product x cube times y square. Okay, so here, and also we have to remember that we do derivative with respect to x. Okay, now first here u is x cube and v is y square. First I keep the u, that means the first term as it is. When I find the derivative of this y square, I can use the power rule of derivative. What is power rule of derivative? So for example, let's consider x to the nth power, and I want to find derivative of this x to the nth power. So when I find derivative of a term which is in the form of x to the nth power, so I have to use the power rule. Power rule means first I have to bring this exponent in front of the variable, then I'm getting n times x. Further, I have to subtract 1 from the exponent, then I'm getting n times x to the power of n negative 1. So this is the derivative of x to the nth power. So now I'm going to apply the power rule in y square to get the derivative. So when I apply the power rule, first I have to bring this exponent 2 in front of the y, then I'm getting 2 times y. Further, I have to subtract 1 from the exponent 2. When I subtract 1 from the exponent 2, the exponent will become 1. So whenever the exponent is 1, we don't have to mention. So simply we can write this one as y. Okay, so far I've done derivative only for the exponent 2. By chain rule, I have to do further derivative for the base y with respect to x. So when I do further derivative for this base y with respect to x, I'm getting dy over dx, positive. Okay, now, so far what I've done is I just kept the first term as it is. I got the derivative of second term y square with respect to x. Now, I have to find the derivative of the first term x cube. So if I find the derivative of the first term, so I have to bring the exponent 3 in front of x and subtract 1 from the exponent. Then I'm getting 3 times x square. So far I've done derivative only for the exponent 3. By chain rule, when I do further derivative for the base x with respect to x, it will just be 1. So 3x square times 1. Okay, then I have to keep the second term as it is, that is y square, positive. So here the constant and the variable are multiplied. So when I find derivative, I have to keep the constant 3 as it is. When I find the derivative of this x with respect to x, it will just become 1. On the right side, if I find the derivative of this constant 1, it will just become 0. Okay, now 4 times, we can write this x cube times 2y as 2 times x cube, y times dy over dx, positive. When we simplify this one, I'm getting 3 times x square, y square, positive 3 equals to 0. Okay, now what we can do is we can distribute this 4 to this one and this one. So when I do such a distribution, 4 times 2 will be 8 x cube, y times dy over dx, positive. 4 times 3 is 12 x square times y square, positive 3 equals to 0. Okay, our aim is to get dy over dx. That is, in this equation, we have to solve for dy over dx. So for that, I have to get up this positive 12 x square y square, positive 3. So for that, I subtract 12 x square y square and 3 from both sides. So negative 12 x square y square, negative 3. So when I do such a subtraction, so this positive stuff, negative stuff will cancel out. The same positive 3, negative 3 will cancel out. So I'm getting 8 times x cube y dy over dx on the left side. On the right side, I'm having negative 12 times x square y square, negative 3. Okay, let me write the stuff over here. 8x cube y times dy over dx equals to, and also we can factor 3 from, I mean negative 3 from these two terms because we find 3 as the greatest common divisor for these two terms in this expression. So if I factor negative 3 out, then I'll have 4 times x square y square positive 1 inside the parenthesis. So if I distribute this negative 3 to this one and this one, I must be getting the stuff over here. So when I distribute negative 3 to this one, I'm getting negative 12 x square y square. When I distribute negative 3 to positive 1, I'm getting negative 3. So the factoring what I've done is correct. Okay, in my next step, what I need to do is I have to divide both sides by 8x cube y. Let me do it. So when I do so, this 8x cube y, 8x cube y will cancel out. I'm getting dy over dx equals to negative 3 times 4x square y square positive 1 over 8 times x cube y.